Hey YouTubers, it's Law and Smoke, Professor Walker here, and today we're going to talk about driving record and becoming a police officer. A frequent question I get in my email is I've had 5 tickets, I've had 10 tickets, I've had 14 tickets. Can I still become a police officer? And the answer is maybe. 3 tickets, 5 tickets, definitely you can. Time and distance, that's the key ingredient, just like most things in your background. The more time that separates you from that event, the more distance you have, the better off you're going to be. You have to be able to show from the point of that last ticket that now you're demonstrating maturity and responsibility in not only how you operate a motor vehicle, but credit, job history. Hey, overall, I'm a responsible person, but I made these driving mistakes and they're in the past. Critical also not to make any excuses for your behavior. You know, it's okay to say, hey, I was being immature then, but you don't blame anything on anyone else. It's all your responsibility. Now, what if you have 14 tickets? 14, 15, a higher amount like that. That starts to get a little dicier. Because what they're going to look at is, even if it was farther in the past, the risk factor has gone up quite a bit, because that's way beyond what a normal person gets in tickets. A normal person has 0 to 3 or 4 tickets. If you're going through life, you're going to probably get a ticket. You know, there's rare people out there that have never had a ticket in their life, but most of us have been pulled over. Most of us have violated a traffic law at some point. But 14, 15, that's a bit excessive. But time and distance can still heal that. If those tickets happen when you're 16, 17, 18, 19, you're 30 now, 10 years of good driving, you're going to be fine. If you're 22 or 23 and those tickets stopped 3 years ago, you're going to need to wait a while. The police department's not going to take a risk on hiring you. They're going to put you in a city vehicle, driving a police car, also expect you to enforce the law when you haven't really shown enough of a capacity to follow the law yet. And if these tickets happen to you when you're older, you're 30 or 35 and you have this many tickets, then you can absolutely, I would say, write off becoming a police officer, because that is not a sign of being immature like a 16, 17-year-old. You're a 30-year-old. You're expected to have already become a mature adult at that point. So those violations are going to hurt you a lot more. The other question is, what if I've had a DUI? It's going to depend from place to place on whether or not they're going to accept you with a DUI, but the principles are similar. They're going to look at the severity of it. Is there indications that you abused alcohol, or was this a one-time event years ago? And I would say for a DUI, you want to shoot for at least 5 years, at least, from the point of that DUI before you consider applying for a police job. So the time and distance model still applies, but they're going to be looking hard at the severity of it. How drunk were you? How irresponsible were you when this event occurred? Or were you that person that had 2 beers, didn't really think you were intoxicated, and your blood alcohol is just barely over the legal limit? That's going to be looked at a little differently as opposed to somebody who had a blood alcohol limit twice the legal limit. So it's going to be case by case. And what may happen if you have a driving record issue like that, if you got DUIs in your background, you may have to apply to multiple agencies before you get hired. You may not get the first choice. And if you want to become a police officer, anyone out there, that's also part of it. You may not get your first choice, and you may have to apply to multiple agencies before you get hired. It's a competitive world, and having blemishes on your background, it just puts you down to the bottom of the list. Okay, so that's all for today about traffic. And remember, send me an email smokinlaw@gmail.com if you have specific questions. And if you have anything that you want me to address in another video, also put that either in the comments or send me an email, and make sure you subscribe. I'm out.